I do think Canada, Mexico, EU, other countries, if U.S. is imposed tariff on everybody, then everybody will do more business with China. We probably will have a better united front against this tariff war. I think the world will say no to that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wang. We'll now move to audience questions. Could I have the member at the far end of the third bench?
So what do you think about the very recent announcement that Trump promises to raise tariffs on Canada, China, Mexico?
Yes.
Do you think it's strictly business, or do you think it will go to impact economic globalization and peacekeeping?
Great question. That's why I noticed that news that President-elect Trump announced that he had 10% for Canada, Mexico, China. Well, I'm glad to hear that it's now 60%. He was saying 60%. Now he's saying 10%. Okay, I think I think China can absorb that because there's more and more countries now. If Trump add tax, like he said, he's going to add tax to rest of the Europe for 10-20%. So the more he add tax on other countries, the other country will do more trade with China. So of course we don't want to have a tariff war because that hurts everybody. But I think he's a businessman. He has a starting some kind of a tariff pressure, which I understand. He's saying, I noticed he's saying because of the Mexicans, because of the Canadians was not doing a good job in terms of preventing the illegal immigrants. That's why he's doing this. And then probably on China, he has other reasons too. But I can see this is extremely unpopular internationally. So I don't know how long that's going to be sustained. But on the other hand, I do think Canada, Mexico, EU, other countries, if U.S. is imposed tariff on everybody, then everybody will do more business with China. We probably will have a better united front against this tariff war. I think the world will say no to that.
Could I have the member from St. Anthony's?
My question is, I see the great development in China, and there's a very good progress, and we want to always see China as strong and powerful because it plays, as you say, a global role to stabilize balance the world between countries. But on the other hand, I see like there is Xinjiang and Tibet, and I don't see much benefit of them to China. Why would you think that they should be part of China while they are draining the energy of Great China, and that China can have great potential without these areas, and they don't really help into economy or anything? I don't know, but can you tell me like what is the benefit of keeping them? Why they are part of China?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Well, I think historically they are part of China, and it's for many long history already. And I tell you, actually, both Xinjiang and Tibet are one of the highest GDP growth regions in China. There is so much support from other parts of provinces in China to support the economic growth in those areas. For example, nowadays, the tourists flooded Xinjiang with a lot of new things going on. There's a lot of conference going on there. There's a lot of visitor there. I mean, all the Muslim country ambassador was there. Praised Xinjiang is doing very well. So I think that as time goes on, we'll see a more prosperous minority region, because China has 56 minorities, many minority regions. It's all part of the greater family. It's a really all prosper together, and then China. I think Chinese government is all the other provinces really supporting all those maybe little frontier regions to really make it more attractive, more productive, and more high growth. So I don't have any doubt that those regions would really have a much closer within the Chinese family, and then they are really prosperous together.
Thank you very much. Do you have the Treasurer-elect?
Hi, I'm here. Hi, it's nice to meet you. My name is Sarah. So a lot of my research is about Belt Road Initiative, looking at different projects in Zimbabwe, Pakistan, and other BRI countries. My question is, does China see BRI as a way to surveillance and AI technology? Or how does it view both technology and its role in BRI?
Yeah, no, thank you. That's also a good question. I think BRI is something, the Belt and Road Initiative, which announced about 11 years ago, is probably the largest world gigantic development plan for developing countries. China is doing that, for really revitalize the world on the infrastructure. And I see that really making a lot of progress. For example, you have last decade, China has invested $1 trillion into 3,000 Belt and Road projects across a number of developing countries, hugely beneficial to those countries. For example, you just recently see Indonesia just concluded a fast train from Bandar to Jakarta, cutting the traffic from 4 hours to 40 minutes. Enormous progress. And then you have, I also in Europe, I saw there's a railway building through Serbs to Hungary, and in Africa you have doing a lot of that. You see the port in Athens become one of the best port in Europe now. China is doing great things to really get in the infrastructure to the world. So I don't think China has any other purpose but really to benefit. I had an African ambassador telling me before that they are really looking for the world to have some big project, big plan, but then yet they can't find it except the Belt and Road Initiative. So really they are very appreciative of that. I was talking to Sri Lanka ambassador just a few days ago in Beijing. He said, the debt trap is not true. China's debt in Sri Lanka is only probably less than about 10%. It's not really the big issue like people said outside. And also, furthermore, I think that China's attention to the global south on the global infrastructure deficit has caused the world attention now. The US come up with Build Back a Better World, B3W. The EU come up with EU Global Gateway, which is great. Let's get all the developed countries invest on the infrastructure project and really to help the global south, which is badly needed. So, of course, Belt and Road is not perfect. It has some challenging issues as well. But I think that the trend, the direction is correct, and China is doing its best to achieve that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wang. We'll have one final question. The very enthusiastic member.
Hi, thank you very much. I have to say I have a very deep resonance that I want to say from my parents' side on their experience before the opening up of China. My question is that with the increasingly popular rhetoric in the West that China is a threat to the Western world, to the world's stability, do you think it is true for the Western world that they think this way, or do you think that there's a certain group of people trying to propagate these ideas? And finally, do you think there will be ever come to a point that the East and the West will start working together again?
Yeah, no, I think that you have raised also an interesting question whether East and West will finally get together. Well, I think the human beings, all roads leads to Rome, and eventually we live in a world of a planet that that human beings has to work together. As I said, we have to face common challenge like climate, facing common challenge of AI, but also on top of that, we cannot have a war on each other. I think that because of the history, culture, and also a different development path, there's a lot of misunderstanding, mistrust. That's undeniable. But the way is that let's get to know each other better. Let's do more understanding. So I'm very glad to see actually China, just recent few months, unilaterally opened a visa for 27 EU countries, for a number of countries in ASEAN, for Japan and South Korea. That's a huge breakthrough because in the past, China always said, we need to be reciprocal. We have to be, why we just give you visa and you don't give me visa? We have to be equal. But now China says, okay, if you don't give me a free visa, I give you a free visa. So I think by doing that, you have seen more foreign friends coming to China, and seeing is believing. So I think that's the best way to really get rid of this mistrust and misunderstanding. But I think, eventually, the world has been so prosperous. We are so advanced. 18 years after Bretton Woods system, the world still having had a third war happen. So I think we will have to continue working. We should not really destabilize the world. And then the East and the West has so many things in common. We are, after all human beings. We are same. So I would really think that with a platform like Oxford Union and with many other forums in the world, we can really promote this concept of peaceful coexist, allow the different system. The world is so colorful, so diversified. Why should there's only one way of development? There could be 2 or 3, 4 ways of development. Let's tolerate diversity, and let's really embrace the variety of the world. And then I would think that the world ecological development really needs every country to work together. And I'm really optimistic that human beings will find a way to work together, and no matter East, West, or global South or global North, we have to work together. And I'm sure the world will be really, the common sense will prevail, and the human, I think all human kindness, human really high spirit of this dialogue and communication will prevail in the end. So that would be my
Thank you very much. And on that very positive note, this brings us to the end of tonight's event. Please join me once again in thanking Dr. Henry Wang.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.